is Nicholas Bell. I'm the chief film critic at IONCINEMA, and it is my pleasure to be able to speak with director Danilo Šerbedžija and screenwriter and star Lana Barić of the film Tereza37, which is Croatia's official submission for Best International Feature at the 94th Academy Awards. So congratulations for that distinction. Danilo, I know this is your third time. It's your third film, and it's your third time being selected as an official submission, the second time from Croatia. Lana, this is you're trained in film, television, theater. This is your first, you've written some shorts, I know. This is your first narrative feature. You played at Warsaw at the 2020 Film Festival there. So it's traveled a little bit, but let's start with the origins. I read that it took 8 years for this project to get off the ground. So it's a question for both of you to talk about how Tereza came together.
Well, I started writing actually when, because I was studying acting in Sarajevo, and I was living there. And at some point I sort of exited some projects that I didn't want to be part of, which I wouldn't do today, but then I was really young. And then I had a lot of free time, and this was the story that always sort of stuck with me, because it's actually combined of several stories that I know of and that I've witnessed, and that I've heard of as well. And I really wanted to tell a story about a Dalmatian woman in this kind of situation, which is triggered by something that really happened. And at that point, I really had a lot of free time, and I started, but I didn't know anything about writing the script. So it took a lot of time until I really learned, and until I found a producer. And then, of course, I didn't know who, if anyone, is going to be interested in directing it. And then a friend of mine who is playing my sister in the film, she suggested that Danilo should direct it, because he wanted to direct a female story and wanted to do something different than the previous films that he did. And so we approached him, talked to him about it, and then again it took some time until we managed to shoot it, but here we are today.
I think it's an extremely resonant film that it feels universal in the sense, but also feels very personal and specific to Split, if I'm saying that right, the second city in Croatia. Which also comes out, I think, as a character. And I guess if you want to speak to how you decided to feature Split, which kind of, this might sound dramatic, but is kind of feels like a womb that's giving birth to Tereza as a person, like she's coming to find herself. And the progression as we move through the city also changes till we, of course, finally get to the sea.
Yes, city of Split. Actually, Lana is from Split, so when she was writing it, she wrote about a place she knows the best, you know, because this is, as you said, a universal story. Even though Split gives some kind of different smell, you know, Mediterranean, and we wanted to avoid beautiful part of Split, because if someone don't know, Split is a really beautiful ancient Roman city, and even Game of Thrones was shot there, you know, really beautiful old Roman streets and medieval palaces and everything. But we wanted to avoid that. We didn't want to show tourist Split. We wanted to show real Split where people live, you know. Of course, people live in the old part too, but we really loved this architecture from 70s of Split. In that time, that was revolutionary architecture. And somehow it fits with our atmosphere in a script. And it gives more emphasis on her inner nervousness, her, you know, feelings. She feels stuck, she feels closed in all these huge buildings, you know, and cold environment. So, and we didn't want to almost know where you can see at the beginning and then white sea at the end. Before you have occasionally maybe somewhere you can see the sea a little bit, but we wanted to avoid that, even though it's a Mediterranean city. So yeah, very good observation, Nicholas, about the city. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it has a surprisingly moody visual aesthetic that of course does fit Tereza's kind of what's going on inside of her. And your director of photography, Mirko Pivcevic, is also Pivcevic is also from Split. I was reading.
Yes.
So in many ways, I think you described it as a film that's a handful of tears and a bag of laughter, which I would say is apt. There are a lot of, as I said, poignant moments, but there are also a lot of, Tereza goes through a lot of distress. And it struck me that this is a story about a woman that her right to choose is more than just, of course, she's trying to conceive, but it's more than just her right to choose about conception. It's about what she does with her body in a cultural sense and a physical sense. And I guess what I'm trying to get at is you can kind of count on your hands how many films from this area deal with a female protagonist. So I want to hear what you both have to say about the development of that in Tereza37.
From this area. And this is something that I also wanted to change and point out. And, you know, it has her name in the title, and we don't have many of those either. And yes, mainly, I mean, in Croatian film, sometimes there's, the supporting characters. Well, basically the character of the sister, which is played by my really good friend, Ivana Roscic, is something that you would generally call like a lead, female lead in Balkan films, you know, but it's actually a supporting role. So yeah, we wanted to put her, you know, in the focus. So basically she's mostly in almost every shot except in the last scene. And I wanted to have a female character, a strong female character in focus, which is not necessarily heroic. And I wanted to, and we've talked a lot about this, Danilo and I, we wanted to have this really raw approach concerning camera work, concerning the light and the treatment of actors, their appearance and the treatment of sex scenes and the human female body as well, and some other things which you can see and which is not quite popular recently, as you know. But I really thought we needed to go in that kind of direction and be that direct, because it's in the Balkans we're still, I think, maybe 20 years behind the rest of the world. And then we really need to point out that, you know, even though some people said that, like, you know, they were, oh, this is so, like, yeah, it's too much. Because it is too much, I think it's necessary. And that's why we had this really raw approach to everything. And it was really important for us to do it like this, even though, as I say, it's not really a popular approach these days in cinematography, especially when female characters are concerned.
Yes, yes, I can only add, Lana said everything. I can only add that for me, as a male, it was really very important to do this film, because I think the topic is really, really important. I feel a little bit embarrassed, you know, that we are in the 21st century and we are still talking about gender equality, you know, and about saying things saying things are not allowed, but people around you will judge you differently by your actions, if you're a man or if you're a woman. For me, that's not acceptable. And which is the worst thing for me, that we belong to this, we can call our film community, film industry, very open and very, you know, modern in thinking. But we are not, you know. Just watch the biggest festivals, how many male or female members of the jury. You will see big difference, you know. And we are open society. you can imagine what's happening in the other industries. So I think that is what we should talk about and what we should change. You know, that's also one of the goals. And that was my actually biggest challenge, why I wanted to do also this film and to give some contribution to my female colleagues in their fight.
Right, right. Well, I think what's also interesting is Split, as I understand it, is kind of prized for being a matriarchy, but as you stated, it's a miserable matriarchy because all of the women in the film are really the ones that are policing Tereza, which is fascinating. Can we talk about the orange? I really liked that. I like it because that is a device used, you know, it hits her foot and it starts to generate some motifs. That's the moment in films where I've seen a lot of women coming to their sexuality. It's like the woman has to be hit on the head and then she's rediscovering herself, like literally, like this, the motif of the fruit. I'm glad it wasn't an apple. If you could.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm from Split and it's true. I mean, you know, when I say lots of responsibility is on women too. And I think we need to change a lot of patterns that are happening, especially in Dalmatia and Mediterranean. And because there are many unhappy women down there and it's a beautiful climate, beautiful city and beautiful area. It's just, you know, unlucky. It shouldn't be like that. And I come from Split and I rarely come back to it because it's hard. I mean, it's really hard on women, I think. And many things really need to change. And many people tell me like, oh, but you know, everybody loves Dalmatia. It's so beautiful. And I said like, yeah, but you didn't grow up there. It's really hard on women. And so for me, it is hard to go back to it, I have to admit. And I don't call it home that much, because I have my home now, but yeah, people tell me like, oh, do you go home often? And I say like, well, you know, not that often. And yeah, that's concerning Split. And the orange, well, first, you know, it's a Mediterranean fruit, and I really wanted to avoid the apple because it would have, you know, religious connotation, which I didn't want it to have. And since the orange doesn't have any connotation, I was free, and everybody is free to put in whatever meaning that you want. You know, it's sort of free of any meaning. It's just an orange. And I love the color. I have to say, some of the things when we were doing the film and we were in Warsaw for the Ekran workshop and many workshops that we did, people asked me many questions and I was like, why do you think this is important? Why did you do this? Blah, blah. And sometimes I would just say because. And, you know, people would say like, you cannot say because. And then I would say, yeah, but I can. It's just, you know, it's just how it is.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like that with the orange, because she befriended the orange, you know, it's her friend. And she now connects it to some kind of her own life, and it's her own possession. And she treasures it as some sort of, let's say, well, I wouldn't say it's a parallel to a child, but it's something of her own that she decided to cherish and to keep. And then, you know, I triggered the thing with the husband that he says he threw away because it was rotten and blah, blah. It goes like that. So I literally wanted to develop a story around an orange, which, you know, doesn't have any context. And it's just that she gave the meaning to the orange.
Right.
Yeah, you know, yeah.
Yeah, I think it works on a lot of levels, because I was left thinking about the orange. And there's a great shot early on where she's acquired it. She's at home with Marco and she's placed it on this railing, and there's a shot of both of them. And you can see that the orange is prominent between them, like the power shift that's also happening, that's generated by this. Yeah. How he throws the orange away, like she's also a fruit that's ripe and ready, and he's kind of letting her go to waste. I really love that.
Thank you.
And two scenes where I thought you were really fantastic in. Early on, where Mirella is telling you she's moving to Berlin. And
I love her play, the way Maria plays that scene. I love that.
But both of you, but even your responses to hers, where, you know, you're kind of, it looks like you're dying inside. That was a tearful scene. And then, of course, the karaoke scene in Nicola's apartment. I also liked, with the Italian song, I'm going to say it right, Naholeta, which I was listening to after the credits ended because I didn't want that feeling to end.
Yeah. Well, we paid a lot for the Italian songs, so I hope it works. It's really hard to get them, and it's you know, they're really, Felicita is really expensive, and Nonoleta as well. So yeah, I love those songs. We talked a lot about them, and actually did another song to be in the ending credits, but then the editor of ours, Dubravka, said like, yeah, but we have that song already in the child pose in the Romanian film. And then we were like, oh no, oh my God, what are we gonna do? And then Danilo said like, yeah, but we should put Nonoleta. I know it's like very well known, but what do you think? And I was like, wow, this is amazing. So yeah, I think it's even better. I think Danilo's suggestion of a song in that way was much better than mine.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah, I chose it. I mean, the lyrics are completely opposite than our story. And first, I like that. But second, somehow I felt the energy of the song, you know, fits together with that last scene so much. With her feelings, mixed feelings, with her expressions, you know. So yeah, we were very sad when we realized that there is already a Romanian song with the other song. And then when I said, let's try with Nonoleta, you know, and first was Nonoleta, why? You know, then we put it and it really fits fantastically.
I agree. Yeah, even if her in the sea and kind of that shot of missing at the table, she's left her seat at the table. Yeah, I thought that all works kind of perfectly. Can we talk about Nicola for a moment, who is Serbian? And I think he also brings in just the fact of that, a Serbian in Croatia, and kind of the history of that area, and how that kind of opens a new dimension in subtle ways, and how that developed, how Nicola developed, who's also a notable actor, Dragan Micanovic.
Micanovic, yes.
Who I've seen in things. Oh, and Leon Lucev too as Marco, like both very familiar faces. Yeah, if you want to talk about Nicola or Marco, actually.
I can talk about Nicola. And Lana can talk about Marco.
Okay.
Or both. Dragan, yeah, we were looking for an actor in Serbia, and Serbia have fantastic actors, really beautiful actors, but a lot of them have this same spirit, a little bit macho, a little bit cowboy spirit, you know. And we were looking for something sad, some actor who have something inside, you know. And Dragan actually was my first choice. And Lana said, yeah, you know, he has something different. And he's a wonderful actor. And we are very happy that we had him in our film, you know, because it's a really important role. And I think he did an excellent job.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to introduce the story of a Serbian guy because I couldn't introduce the story of a French guy or, you know, an English. I needed to be somebody who is not from there and who's a foreigner. And she doesn't speak English. She's not that open, and she would hardly connect to somebody who is a foreigner that way. So I needed somebody who would speak the language. And then I just used the story of my aunt, who really did fall in love with the Serbian guy, and we talked a lot about it. And then she moved to Serbia and got married, and she's still living there. And we talked a lot about their connection. And actually, that story is taken from my aunt's experience, because also it has a political connotation, which is really strong and which is connected to my family as well, as my family is half Serbian. And we knew what that means in Split, especially. You know, still it's not very, very popular. And so that also, that part, as many parts in the film, are based on a real life story. And that's when I talked to my aunt about it, and I said, like, how did you connect to him? And she said, like, well, you know, Lana, he gave me a book as a present, and I've never I've never gotten a book from a Dalmatian guy. So it was, yeah, this is what she said, and it really stuck to me. And that's why she says in the film, like, you have many books.
Okay, nice, yeah.
Yeah. So it's all taken from, I mean, real life, and then I combined it just in a nice story. In a real life, the gynecologist, of course, is a guy, but then I thought it would be just to do the connection. It would be better if it were a woman. And Marco is also based on some real characters, and he was perfectly played by Leon Lucha. I mean, I think this is one of his, not just because I wrote that, not at all because I wrote that. I'm really happy for Leon because I think he's really great in it, and he really did an amazing job. He's really so believable, and it was really important not to make them bad guys, you know, not to make him a bad guy, you know. He's just like that, you know, in his own capacity. So this was the major challenge for me, not to make him a bad guy. He's not a bad guy. He's just as he is.
I agree, and you can see that kind of play into her guilt about what she's doing too. But yeah, it all feels very authentic and very impressive. And I guess, you know, we could go on talking about your film for a long time, but my you know, English language references, I was thinking this was recalling all kinds of things from like John Steinbeck to Lars von Trier, or Gloria from Sebastian Lelio. I was wondering if you had any, as you were developing this, if you had any inspirations, any larger inspirations that you want to shout out or reference, but if not, that's okay too.
Well, we talked only about
John. Yeah.
We were talking only about Cassavetes, I think.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, his rawness is something that we were drawn to, and I really love him. I really do, and I watch his films over and over again, and I love the way he approaches characters, especially female characters, which are you know, alive, and there's something raw, there's something kind of irregular in it as well. And I also I don't like when things are really right and proper. I love it when it's like breaking, and when it's irregular and like, you know, on the verge. And I think he's a great filmmaker for it. And yeah.
Oh yeah.
Many blurry moments in his films, which I like. And this is what we talked about a lot, actually.
I think irregular is a good word. Yeah.
Yeah.
The general, yeah, especially with general, a woman under the influence. And now that you see that too, that very much seems like the area Tereza's kind of headed down. Like we're not quite sure. I think that's what's so perfect about the ending too, is there's a lot that still probably needs to happen for her.
Yeah.
But I like that. I liked, there's a hopeful note, of course, but you don't know.
Yeah.
But with that, is there anything either of you want to add before we finish?
No, we're just happy to be here, and thank you for a really nice interview. And my only wish is as many people to see our film. That's why we are doing films, to be seen.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Nicholas, for a lovely conversation. Yeah. And we are really, we had a nice process really working this film, even though it took a long time, but the whole crew and the actors and actresses are amazing. And we are still in the same energy, you know, everybody still really loves each other and supports each other and really cheers for the film. And we are really happy we're here. And thank you once again.
No, thank you. Thank both of you. I'm really happy you're here too. In a different non-pandemic world, we would be speaking in person in Los Angeles with a live crowd, and you could be able to feel that energy, because I think this is a film where that has a very potent energy that you would, you know, you want to engage with others about. But be that as it may, here we are. I'm glad you're here, and I am very much looking forward to championing this film and allowing people to discover it. So with that, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, this is Eric from IONCINEMA.com. If you want to support us, subscribe below. For more reviews, interviews, film festival coverage from Sundance, Cannes, Toronto, you want to check out these guys on this side.